This will be a look into the code of my FMP project. I'm doing this at my home computer, so it's going to be really laggy, so I can't actually show you the game. Um, but I can show you everything that I made. Uh, Starting with, let's just start with the character because it's the basis for pretty much everything. Um, I'll start from the first thing I see pretty much. Let me close this. There we are. Overhead kick. We'll get into that. Actually, let's imagine a game. The first thing you do is you load in. All the animations are already done. Nothing really matters about that. I only changed the skeleton mesh. That wasn't difficult. It was someone else's things. So the first thing you do is maybe you hold shift to run. Left shift. When you press left shift down, it says sprinting is yes. Then you check here, it asks, a branches and ask, is sprinting yes? Sprinting is yes. What does it do? It turns the max walk speed, which is linked to this character movement. This basically means when it asks the target, it's asking, like, what are you trying to target? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking about? In this, I'm talking about the character movement component. So I can't just say the character because the character, like, there's so much different parts of the character. Like, there's the mesh. The mesh doesn't actually move. It's just the thing that looks like it moves. It's like a puppet in it. So I'm targeting the character movement, the movement of the character, and this is a variable that I just got from here. And the sprint speed is a variable I made myself. This conveniently organized variables that I did. If I go in stamina system, you can see it's here. It is set to 1,000 regularly. I think the regular is 500, so about double it. Then it uses stamina. This is a custom event. Custom events are just like things that I've made custom. So to make this, I just searched up custom event in here, renamed it use stamina, and then it gets called. It's just bang. This is a function. It's like a custom event, but neater. I don't really use functions often because I think I like to have a look at the code. Then it asks, "Are you sprinting?" Now this might be a little bit stupid because, to use stamina, you have to be sprinting. But I'll explain why not in a second. Because let's say you are sprinting, and your stamina doesn't equal 0, which it shouldn't to start with. Your stamina will be it will minus itself by 0.8 every 0.005 seconds, and then it'll do the whole system again. And if you are continuing to hold left shift, you will still be sprinting, and if you haven't run out your stamina, you will keep doing it, and you will keep staying faster because this is still true. Every time all that you are holding it is still true. You'll keep moving fast. When you release, it'll turn sprint to stop, and then here it will be false and nothing will happen and the loop will close. This is a loop. Let's say you do release the button, it then sets the max walk speed back to the regular walk speed to make sure sprinting's off, and then regain stamina. So if you're not running, you're regaining it. You can't be sprinting. If stamina equals max stamina, it won't regain anymore, so you won't go over your cap. And this is basically the same, just less potent. It's stamina plus 0.3 for every 0.005 seconds again, and it's a loop, and if you start sprinting it stops, or if you get max stamina it stops. Let's say you run out of stamina, turn sprinting off, and then it does this, and then it regains stamina. Amazing. That is a sprinting, that's just sprinting, boom, done. It's simple, it works, I'm proud of it, it's something that I've worked on for a bit, it worked, it's good. Okay, then let's say you run to the ball then. The next thing is picking up the ball. I have technically 3 or 4 different types of footballs, but I really only have 2. It's really confusing. Football, let's go football. This is the football that is here. This is the exact same or as close as you can get to this football. If you run over this football, it makes sure that the other actor's display name, so the actor that walks through it, is the same as the third person character, this third person character. So if you walk through it, only you, it will cause the dribbling. It will call this, and it's the same. The target, this is called a cast basically. Say I'm trying to get a custom event or a variable from a different actor, I just do this cast. I need to have player pawn for some reason, and then I set it as a variable because I'm neat and tidy. Dribbling gets called here. I just realised it's going to take time. Overhead kick dribbling. Huh. Now that is interesting. Right, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, I'll talk about that when I'm talking about overhead kicks. So, bloody hell, this is going to get confusing now. So, this ball, the ball that is spawned in is this variable. It is just this variable. I got it from here. Where is the start of the gameplay? Set up here. I get it from here. And that is as football as you can get. Now, if I kick the ball, it spawns another football in. This code here, it spawns another football in. Now this football isn't that football, this is a copy of the football. And to get the variable for that copy of the football, I need to do it like this and turn it into its own variable. So that's how it technically means it's a different football. So now this is spawned football VAR. Any football that I've got is a spawned variable. So any football I kick, spawned. And that's that. So it's just a different thing. And so it checks if the football is reset spawned. I'll talk about that. Football iframes. Now if you kick the ball, you get iframes so you don't immediately pick it up. I'll touch on that. Turns ball possession to true. This is important in kicking. And then it checks if the football is a spawned ball or a not spawned ball. Off the bat, it's not spawned, so it'll destroy the regular football, set the visibility to the footballs to yes, sets this football visibility. This football is in the viewport. If I look here, I can go football. Let me turn it to visible. Visible. Turns on. Hang. You can see it. That's how it works. And then it destroys that football. So that football's no longer in the world, and now you just have a football at your feet. Bloody hell. I've said football so many times. So then let's say you move with the football. Let's say you move forward a little bit. If you hold W, movement dribbling starts, and it checks if you have possession, because you shouldn't be able to dribble with the ball without possession. It then turns this football, so the football I just showed you, this football to invisible, and it turns this football to visible. And when this is played, the football is continually rolling in the forwards direction. So it will give the effect that you are kicking the ball a little bit and making it move along. And then when you release it, stops, does the opposite. Simple code. Right, now let's say you kick the ball. You want to go and shoot the ball. Left mouse button click. Can you do an overhead kick? We'll talk about that later. Overhead kick cooldown. Power shot ? No, we're doing the regular kick. Ball iframes event. Ball iframes equals yes for a second, then turns it off. So you, and then it checks. Where was it checked? Checks up here that you can't. Oh, it checks over there with the dribbling thing. Then you have to have possession. Then it calls this. So this ball spawns the ball. The ball has been spawned. So I need to know that. Activates. You no longer have possession. So this just makes the ball move. You can see who's the target. Projectile movement. The projectile movement is a target of spawned VAR. So you can see how it was a bit like a Russian doll. Visibility test. This just after the balls. Let's say this targets. Well, I don't know why it's not taking me to it. There it is. It just turns the football, both footballs invisible at your feet, just because then it's destroyed. It's a bit like destroying the football at your feet, but less. Then let's say you get a goal. Let's say you do get a goal. Say you shoot in Red's goal and you get a goal. So you go to Red Team Net, I think it is. Yes. Now, the wording on this might get a bit confusing because it's about goals and I'm not 100% sure. It works, but red team goals, I'm fairly sure, is the goals that blue team have. So think of it like the goals red team has conceded. So say you score, red team goals gets +1, so blue gets a point, or red, the goal goes to blue, so blue gets a point, so +1 to blue. It says, no, that's wrong. I did it right. I'm just overcompensating, I think. So let's go to blue team so it's a bit easier. So blue team net. I guess it's the one they're scoring in is the way I put it. So when an actor goes through, like the football, the blue team goals gets +1. It creates the widget blue goal, which is this widget, which is this UI widget thing. It says goal in the colour blue. Then it delays, removes it, casts to BP third person. I talked about this. Targets BP third person, reset. And so you have a couple seconds to emote, do what you want to do. And then it calls the reset, and this basically resets the game to how it was before. So this reset calls play reset, I'll talk about that in a second. Resets the ball, I'll talk about that in a second. Turns the visibility, we've talked about that, and it turns all these to off, and these two to off, just in case it doesn't, because sometimes, for some reason it didn't. Then it turns football reset spawn to yes, so this is another different football, because I needed this football to spawn somewhere else, so I couldn't use that football spawn up there, so this needed its own variable in its own spawn. So this spawns in the middle, in the center, and it's got a widget, so then it can be destroyed later on. This really easy, just set world location of the player back to the spawn, super easy. Right, now let's say you want to go pick up the next ball. You go here, this doesn't matter. Football, this is yes now, because you picked it up. You go here, it destroys that football. Ball possession equals yes. Just the same as it, just different, just that thing up there. This blue team net, exactly the same as red team net, just different colours. Goal restart, we just touched on that. Let's say now you go pick up a power up. Let's say you pick up a power up. You would first see a power up on the floor due to this. This is a trigger box. This is not a trigger box, I remember. This is an actor with it's called a nav mesh bounds volume. Right, so let's start from event begin play. From event begin play, spawn items, keeps it organized. Cast to BP third person player, this gets the variable. I have to do this for every single actor I'm in if I want it. So this then gets spawned at the start, so it spawns an actor from the power box. It has to check if it can spawn, I'll touch on that. So if it then spawns the actor in a random reachable point. The reachable point needs, you can see, target navigation system. That's why you need the nav bound mash, because it needs to see that. That's the target. It's just a bit more interesting. You have to have the actor inside it. It's a bit more automatic, which can be confusing, cannot be confusing. So once it's spawned, can spawn turns off. So you can only have one at a time. Then it's a random delay from 15 to 50 minutes, and it spawns the item, but you can't do anything until can spawn is turned on again, which is from the destroyed, which gets called by this over here. This is the actual thing that gets spawned. Again, casts it, but when you walk over it, you have to be the third person character, so nothing else can cause it, like the ball or a goalkeeper. This is how you cast to actors, get actor of class, and then you can do it. Destroy pickup, so once you go through it, it destroys the actor, that actor that spawns in. Then, this is interesting, a random integer. An integer is just a number without a decimal. If it equals 1, there's power shot. If it equals 2, it's a speed boost. And if it doesn't equal either, it's a dribble. And they're all connected to this because all these are called in here, the power shot. We'll talk about power shot first because it's the second simplest and it's the first one I did. So it turns power shot to true adds a little PowerShot UI. I'll show you the PowerShot UI now. You can see my amazing organization is helping me to guide you through this, even though it's confusing. You see, I've got my little PowerShot foot in the corner. I then go over here, so it does that, and it makes a little PowerShot widget VAR. Now this is smart. I've never done this before. I thought it was quite smart because you're gonna see. So you have the PowerShot now. So all it does, it says you have the PowerShot. Then when you left click, it checks do you have the PowerShot. Then does everything the same: ball iframes, ball possession. But instead of spawning the regular ball, it spawns a third type of the second type of ball, the PowerShot football. And now the PowerShot football is the exact same as regular football. However, where the movement, the max movement and the initial speed is turned up to 6,000, and the regular one is like 3,000. I can show you now. They're exactly the same. You can see they're pretty much the same. 3,000. So it's double the speed. I've got all this. It spawns at the foot. I should have probably talked about that. So I'll talk about it now. The ball has to spawn somewhere, and I've got an arrow. It is arrow number 1. So this arrow is where it spawns, and it's connected to the camera boom, so you can aim it up, down, left, right, wherever it default, because default is best, I guess. And it just gets the world transformed because it needs the transform, it needs the rotation, it needs the angle, it needs the size, and it needs actually the location. It then makes another variable like it is, and I'll show you why. It also activates an effect. Now I'm not sure if this effect will lag my computer out a little bit, but I'm sure you've seen it. Where is it? It's here. Auto activate. You can see the little effect. So when you shoot, that effect comes up and it activates it, and it makes little sparks, and then it also activates the movement, so it shoots at the same time. Ball spawn, same visibility check, but then it removes the little what's it called? The little PowerShot widget in the bottom left. It just removes it because you don't need any more if you don't have the PowerShot. Now, because the way I've done the dribbling, it needs to check again. So that's why there's a PowerShot dribbling. If you were sharp, you saw it because it's in the PowerShot. Is it here? Yeah, it's PowerShot dribbling. It's exactly the same. Super simple. PowerShot dribbling is just if you walk within the collision box, this area. Make sure you're the actor. You can see get display name. PowerShot dribbling, it's the exact same. You have to have the ball possession, and then destroys that football, the PowerShot football variable. Now let's say you get the speed boost. Sets the sprint speed. So do you remember when we were doing the stamina? Sets the sprint speed to 1,500. So it just adds 500 either. It also adds the walk speed. Creates the widget the same. Delay, turns it back to normal after the delay, and removes it. So that's just on a timer. I'll show you the little picture now. Content, UI, speed boost UI. I could have probably done it in one, but I didn't know how, and in my mind this was simpler. Right now, the dribble power up. You get the dribble power up. You can use dash. Creates the UI the same. The UI is a bit different because it tells you how many you have. So dash text block just tells you how many you have. Adds it to viewport. Then when you press E, it checks if you have any dribble uses. It checks if you can use dash, so you can you can use dash if you've got it. If you don't have any, turns dash to off, moves it, sets it back up. So then when you can do it again, you have 3. Quite smart. Activates an effect, so you can know where you're going. This effect will always tell you exactly where you'll be teleporting to. If I press auto activate, you can see it just there, and that's how far you will teleport to. I'll show you how I've done that in a second. Auto activate, delay, deactivate the thing, so it activates for 0.5 seconds, then deactivates, then another delay, so it can fully deactivate, because for some reason it takes a second to deactivate, which was kind of weird. Then it teleports the actor to just the arrow in front of them, and then with the rotation of the camera boom, so you can edit the rotation with your mouse, but not the up and down, so you don't teleport out of bounds. And then the dash arrow is, where is it? There it is, just where the thing spawns, which is quite smart. Turns the dribble slash dash power up to 1, -1. If it's 0, if that's true or less than 0, can use dash, gets turned off, removed from parents, jump power ups. Boom. That is the power ups. Right now you've used all the power ups. Let's say you're trying to get techie with it, and you're trying to hit an overhead kick. Say you've figured out there's an overhead kick in the system. You need to. Oh, that's the emotes. Touch on that. You need to first have jumped. So I'm fairly sure there's a space bar. Here it is. When you press the space bar, and ball possession equals false, so you cannot do this with having the ball. So if you just jump and try and click, won't work. You have to not have the ball, and then if you space, and you can overhead kick, which I'll show in a sec, is true. This is regularly set to true, so that's why that's like that. I'm fairly sure. Default height. No. Nah, yeah, because that makes sense. It does actually make sense. I'm just a bit tired. So pressed ball possession. If that's false, because it has to be false, and this is false because it starts to be false. So then you overhead kick, and then you have a second. You have 1 second to get the overhead kick in. But it's not only that, because you also have to left click in time, which is over here. So then you also have to have, so when you get the ball, when the ball comes to you and you connect with the ball, you have to, it turns overhead kick possession to true, and then you have 0.2 seconds, because they both have to be true for you to do it. So you can overhead kick, and you have ball possession, and it checks it down here, and you have overhead kick possession, because it'll all happen at once, and you have ball possession. I guess I like to be really sure that you have possession of the ball, because I think I was having a bug where I was kicking too early. Then you can overhead kick. You have a 0.2 seconds margin. It then, this is difficult, it sets the world location of the football, so the little ball at your feet, to the overhead kick arrow. So this arrow number 1, actually no, it sets it up to here, so the ball will go to your head, so it looks better. It will also set arrow 1 to your head, and this is exactly the same as the power shot, so it's as strong as a power shot. It just looks super cool. It turns ball session off, regular. Right, I was messing with animations, so this is why I had to do this. So it sets the world rotation of the mesh. So this guy right here, it sets him to 180 from where you're facing. So if you're facing forward, he'll spin round and you'll hit the scissor kick, so it aims in the right direction, and then it turns it back over here somewhere for 6 seconds, because it plays the animation of you kicking, doing the overhead kick. Ball iframes event, the same. It's the same power shot football, same as this. I'll tell you when it stops being the same here. So then there's a delay, and it stops the animation because you're still getting up from the scissor kick, turns you back to the regular rotation, so you're then facing the right rotation, then sets the world location to the arrow back to the feet, so you can shoot from the feet. Because the reason I set the arrow to the head is so it's moving from the head and not the feet, because you're kind of shooting it from where your head will be. So you can see that's why I changed that. And I did the same with football, so the football goes back to normal. Then that's the overhead kick mechanic. And it's pretty good. Emoting, really simple again. Press 1, you do the snake hip hop emote for 2.5 seconds, and then you go back to regular. Same with here with the twist down this emote. I'm gonna have a look at the UI now, because that's, I think, the one thing that I haven't looked at. Let me just have a gander. Football goal, we had a look at that. Powerbox, we had a look at that. These are just stuff that either came with it or some of the animations I used or something. Start screen, doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Yeah, UI, and this is I did show you the Dash UI. Player HUD. This is interesting. This is. Whew, I actually did forget to talk about the UI. It's quite stupid of me. So this is the stamina bar. Get percent, super easy. I'll go in graph. Get percent, super easy. You just cast to the player, get the max stamina, get the stamina, divide it. It's real time. This is again easy. Same for the blue and the red. Just gets it. Red team goals, puts it in. Then I also have a timer, which it looks a bit different from a regular timer. So if the timer value, which is 200 seconds, which I think about 3 or 4 minutes, if that equals 0 or less than, which is not, timer event gets played, and this is every tick, so it's checking this every single time, and then it just minuses it. So this is just a timer. It just shows it makes a timer go down every second or 0 point something second. But if it reaches 0, it then casts winning, so it checks who's won. It sets UI to it says input to UI mode, so you can't move. Gets active classes, checks who has more goals, adds it to viewport that they win, and that's it. I think. That's all the background code. I can try playing it. I really hope it doesn't crash. It's not in the right aspect ratio. Yeah, this is pretty bad. It's very laggy. But I can maybe show you. Yeah, whoa, goal with the overhead kick. Isn't that impressive?